Welcome to the Hope Discovered podcast by CommQuest. My name is Bill. Our show advocates for the principle that no matter what your recovery journey may happen to be, there is a chance for a better life. Hope happens here. Our subject today is the concept of a safe zone for clients and other members of the community who need to access services and treatment. At some point, you may have entered a clinic or an organization or some kind of place and noticed a sign that says Safe Zone or Safe Zone Trained. These indicators can refer to something as formal as this person or organization has completed safe zone training and wants to communicate to others that they are open to talking about and being supportive of LGBTQ plus individuals and identities. Other times, it may simply be a friendly show of support for the LGBTQ plus community when one of these signs is showing. To delve into the nuances of what safe zone means, both as a wide term and to how CommQuest has incorporated the concept, is our guest, Kristin Carvajal, Training and Development Coordinator here at CommQuest. First of all, Kristin, thank you so much for being on the program. It is greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you for having me.
Kristin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you into this field and ultimately here at CommQuest?
Yeah. So one of the things that I will say I always like to share is just I'm originally from New York, upstate New York, very small town. And just, growing up, I've always been someone who loved learning, who loved communicating and believed in the power of storytelling, as well as helping others. So throughout kind of my background, and educational training, I have pursued that in a variety of ways. I have a master's in higher education from Kent State, and I worked in the kind of college environment, higher education environment for about 8 years before switching gears and going into the clinical mental health field. I have a master's in clinical mental health as well, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. And I was in the field for a while. I'm very passionate about mental health, but also education, and kind of wrapping those two together. I really found that what I love and what I'm passionate about is helping others learn in a variety of ways, while also discussing more and advocating for mental health. So taking a step back, that kind of led me to working in human resources. And one of the things that brought me to CommQuest really was wanting to work closer to my community. I've lived in Canton for about 10 years now, and I have never actually worked that local to my home. And I have friends, acquaintances, my partner who all work in the area. And I saw just how important it is giving back to the community and being a part of the community. And that's really what I wanted to hit on when I was kind of looking around and changing career paths. And I knew about CommQuest. I knew about CommQuest from my counseling program. And I've known some people who have worked here before. And I saw this training and development coordinator position, and it just kind of checked all the boxes for me. A way to still be a part of the mental health community, but a way to help others learn and develop themselves as well so that they can, do their best helping others.
I'm so glad you shared that with us because it really speaks to the culture of a nonprofit. People are here because they believe in the mission. They believe in the clients and they believe in the community. And thank you very much for sharing that. As to our topic of a safe zone, in the common vernacular, we hear the term safe zone, or let's say people will say, go to a safe place fairly often, especially on social media. In a more clinical sense, what is the context of the term safe zone as we're talking about it today?
Yeah. So I think when we talk about a safe zone or a safe place, just in general, it essentially is a place where members of any group can exist without fear or judgment, or any bullying or fear of criticism or discrimination. So they can feel confident in that space, in that area, to share, to be vulnerable, and know that they are in a place where they can be heard. Safe spaces allow for people to feel supported. They allow for people to know that they are respected for who they are. From a counseling perspective, therapists really create these safe spaces for their clients, which allows clients to open up and explore their identity, as they are today, but also who they may want to be. They can explore different parts of themselves without fearing that judgment or criticism. And when thinking about others, these safe zones or spaces really can allow for marginalized people to discuss, process, and heal from any trauma or stress caused by discrimination, racism, or other forms of oppression.
What does it mean to be safe zone trained?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about specifically the Safe Zone Project. That is what I'm most familiar with in terms of training. But this training can take on a variety of different names. So I've attended safe space trainings before and participated in those. It can be called something different. But essentially what it is that it is a training for really providing opportunities to learn about the LGBTQ plus identities, learn more about gender and sexuality, and examine prejudices and assumptions and privilege and how that can impact those members of the community.
Is there a governing body that determines safe zone training completion, and are there different levels?
Yeah, so I just want to kind of go back a little bit and talk about the Safe Zone Project in a little more detail. So This was founded in 2013 by Meg Bolger and Sam Killerman as a free resource. So, number one, free resource for folks who want to learn more about the LGBTQ plus community and also want to do more for awareness and ally trainings. So what I really love about this Safe Zone Project in particular is, again, it is a free resource and free curriculum that many, many organizations, colleges, universities have utilized to provide trainings on their sites. That is, again, why they can come in a variety of different phrases, sayings. These trainings, again, can go by a variety of different names. And when we talk about a governing body or different levels of completion, from the Safe Zone Project perspective, there's not. There's not a certification. There is not different levels. And one of the reasons for this is because that can create a power dynamic in a way of who is right, who is wrong, who is an expert in this subject matter, who is not. And that in a way can make this training inaccessible. And the founders were really focused on, how do we get this information out? How do we cultivate a culture of learning about this topic and know that the information is always changing? We are providing these resources, we're providing this information, but we may not be experts. We can learn from others as well. So that is what I really love about this whole model of the Safe Zone Project. And it's really the focus of being accessible. So it's available to anyone who wants to learn. And there's no level, there's no right or wrong. It really is about, here are the resources. Here's what you can do to be an ally and be willing to learn, be willing to have that open mind.
One of the things that we often talk about here at CommQuest is regardless of our role and our job description and other things, we are all essentially part of the recovery services community. For example, if I'm at home and I'm fixing something, I'm pounding a nail or something, and I hit my thumb, I will probably roll off a list of profanities. And if I have a good backbeat, I can put a good rap together. But when we're here, acting in such a way could, if someone's here, for example, for trauma recovery, that could be very triggering. So we have to be very conscious of the fact that all of us are in some way, shape, or form part of the recovery services community. And this all goes to the dignity of the individual. That's something that we talk a lot about here. The dignity of the person who has come to us essentially for help. That's the bottom line. That is something that we work very hard to strive to stress. Can you explain how Safe Zone training folds into this wider philosophy that we have here at CommQuest?
When we talk about Safe Zone or safe space or Safe Zone training, I really believe that it is a core component of this philosophy. When we talk about the dignity of the individual, I really believe we're talking about honoring them as a whole, where they've been, where they are at now, and where they're going. And how can we do that if we're coming from a place of judgment? How can they be vulnerable and really share who they are, explore themselves, learn more about themselves and who they want to be if they're not in that safe place?
What are the areas of service that we provide here and some of the locations at CommQuest that have been Safe Zone trained?
Yeah, so I know at CommQuest that many of the counselors at various CommQuest locations have received this Safe Zone training. And it is definitely something that I would love to offer regularly as well to all staff who are interested. I think it's important to share this resource, share this information with as many of our staff as possible, and to start seeing more of the little safe space signs and stickers up and around to let our community know, that we're here for them.
To learn more about Safe Zone training, let's say, for example, maybe you're an organization or you're a provider who wants to learn more, or even as a potential client. If they're listening to this and they're hearing about it for the first time and they're looking for a place to feel more comfortable, it might help them to learn more about Safe Zone training and know that the institution that they are going to has gone through it. What resources are available for people to find out more about Safe Zone training?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, specifically the Safe Zone project, what I love about it is that it is so accessible, that the founders really wanted it to be free for everyone to learn. Those who are wanting to learn, who are willing to learn, can do so. So anyone can go to the website, thesafezoneproject.com, and receive information about the trainings, about the curriculum, and different resources. The website has a ton of different articles about the training, but also it has links to other websites and other resources for supporting those in the LGBTQ plus community.
We often end the program with a message of hope, and there is so much rhetoric out there, and this isn't taking a side. There's just a lot of rhetoric that's out there on social media, other places, and a lot of times people just want to feel comfortable. What message of hope would you have for someone who is seeking greater assurance regarding the need for acceptance and understanding, especially as they access various types of treatment?
Yeah. So really what I would want them to know is just there are people who are out there who are willing to listen, learn, help, and support. And there will always be people out there who care and who want to help. And that those who are opening up, those who are sharing, they are incredibly courageous and brave. And they have that courage that many people don't. And to just know that you are courageous and that there are people who want to help. to just kind of take that a step further too, I would want to tell the helpers out there as well. Be present, be mindful, provide that safe space, because being vulnerable can be terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But the ability to be heard and to know that you are safe and free from judgment can make such a huge difference in the healing process. And I would also tell the helpers to be willing to learn on your own. Go that extra step. Look up the resources. Do some reading. There's so much information out there to where you can learn at your own pace. You can learn on your own. Don't expect anyone from a different culture or background or sexual orientation to be your teacher. That can be exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. And they're coming here for that safe place. They are coming here to share their story, not to be a teacher. So being a true helper, an ally, or supporter really means that you have to do the work as well. So you have to be willing to take that step, go the extra mile, and learn. And be mindful as well as of where your voice is heard, where others may not be heard. I think that's so important, because in that way, that's where and when you can be a good ally, because you can advocate in those spaces where others may not be invited yet. But being able to be mindful and be present and advocate for those can open up the doors for them in different spaces where they may not have been included originally.
My personal opinion is I believe that this is important for providers across the board, even people in the medical community. There's a lot of times any of us have gone to the doctor and we may have an ailment with the most intimate parts of our body. And when a provider is just listening to you in a way that they're going to check off a list of symptoms and prescribe something based upon that and may not have any empathy towards you, it's a very empty feeling. And I believe that that is so important for providers across the board. And I'm so happy, and I'll let you speak to this, that here at CommQuest, we really emphasize compassion and to really listen. That is so important.
Yeah, it really, really is. And I think we've all had different situations where we have been talking to someone, whether it be a family member, a friend, a coworker, and known that they haven't been listening or known that they haven't been present. And that, I think, is a relatable feeling. And, everyone has a phone. They may look at their phone. You can tell when people almost disengage and how invalidating and isolating and hurtful that can feel. And I agree, you mentioned the example with different doctors, and that's definitely relatable as well. And it's really about respecting the other individual that you are with and being present, letting go of distractions, actively listening, and again, allowing for that space of non-judgment.
That is such an important message. And it all comes back to what we talked about earlier, and that's the dignity of the individual. That is so important. We have been talking to Kristin Carvajal, Training and Development Coordinator at CommQuest. Kristin, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to work with you. I always learn so much when I get an opportunity to work with you and other members of our staff. Thank you very much for the opportunity. To find out more information about what we do here at CommQuest, I would direct you to CommQuest.org. Once again, that is CommQuest.org. There's lots of information on that site about our various services, or even if you would like to contribute, make a donation or what have you, that information is available on CommQuest.org. Our main phone number here is 330-455-0374. Once again, that's 455-0374. And again, the numbers to our various locations and everything is available on our website at CommQuest.org. You have been listening to the Hope Discovered podcast by CommQuest. Thank you very much for listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.